Hey guys, this is Miss Super. I hope you're having a great day, great summer, whatever time you're watching this. And welcome to the next installment of my MWROC practice videos. So this video, I'm going to focus on a song by Saga called On the Loose. I had never heard of this band before until we played this song at camp a few years ago. I forget exactly how long. I'm going to say 3 or 4. But anyway, when I first heard it, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I was mixed emotions about it. It was just another song to me. But as we practiced it, and then as I heard the two singers do it, I was blown away, and it's now one of my favorites. So I am so looking forward to practicing this and playing this again. What's interesting about this time around is I'm actually playing a different violin part. I was playing a violin one part, we'll call it violin right because there's a left side, right side, and I was playing a violin right on the last time we did this, and now I'm going to play violin left. So there's similarities, but there's differences, and it's just going to be fun. I did start this practice session by listening to a recording that was sent to me of this performance, or of the song, and as it turned out, it was the very performance I just mentioned that we did a few years ago. So I got to reminisce on that a little bit. I did notice that during the performance there were some parts where we were all quite together, particularly the orchestra versus the singers, which there's only so much control I have over that. That requires group rehearsals. But what I can do on my part is make sure that I know it so well that I can take my eyes off the page and focus on the performance in front of me and on the audience and all that fun stuff. So that's going to be my goal for this practice session, is just to review it and get stronger at it. For this video, I am going to spotlight one little section that's in the middle of a solo, well, instrumental solo, I should say. And it's fun. I remember having fun with it before, but it is going to be a finger twister, so I'm going to work on that today. As always, I have my handy-dandy metronome practice app. I'm going to set it on metronome. The speed of the song, based on tapping, it is about 132 beats a minute, more or less. So I'm going to start at 100 and see what happens. And as always, I'm going to subdivide the eighth notes. So, and there we go. I was wondering why I wasn't hearing it. Say hi to Adelia in the background there. And so it's always good before you start to mentally rehearse the part. Just sing it. No, you don't have to try to be on pitch, even though that helps. But just go through the part in your mind so you have an idea of what you should sound like. As I always say, whatever happens up here is going to happen here. So I'm going to do that one more time. Okay. So far so good. In the recording, I remembered and heard that it was very short. The notes are played very short, a very bouncing bow motion called spiccato. My spiccato is not the greatest, so I'll try it anyway. But the idea being is that the less I move, the more successful I'm going to be on this. The last thing I need to do is really dig in and try to force the notes out. So I'm going to be focusing on that as I play this section. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I had some trouble with fingerings. You saw my hand, there was some shifting going on. I'll scoot this over a little bit. And I was having trouble remembering when to do what shift. So I'm going to simply try that again. And if I have trouble again, I'm going to break it down further. Okay, so I'm having trouble with the shifting. I'm going to first slow it down. I think 100 is just a little bit too much. So let's start with 80. I'm not going to go all the way to 60. I'm going to start with 80 and see what happens. Okay, so I'm still having trouble. So now I need to slow it down that shift. So I'm going to turn off the metronome. I'm going to go notes only. I'm not going to try to worry about rhythm. I'm going to do notes only. I'm looking at the video, I'm noticing my bow is a little bit wayward. So that's something I need to work on. That's always great to record yourself, practice in front of a mirror, record yourself so you can notice those things that you normally don't notice in the moment. So I'm going to try that again. Alright, so that's better. I was able to, you saw it, I was able to look away from the music more, which means I know it better. I did have to glance over a little bit. This is going to be a good section for me to memorize. If I can play it without needing any reference to printed page whatsoever, then that's going to allow me to be more confident and be more instinctive and just go for it rather than, what's that note, what's that note, what's that note? I can just go and not even consciously think about it. So that's going to be my practice goal, is to memorize that little spot at least. So let's try it at 80 again and see if slowing it down helps. Okay, so that was better. There was one shift I forgot to do. It wasn't officially written in. It was something I personally decided to do, but I forgot to do it. So I need to make a decision as to whether I'm going to keep that shift or not and commit to that decision. Let's try it again. Okay. I am going to commit to that shift. When I remember to do it, it works. So now I need to practice it to remember, or basically practice it where there's no way I can possibly forget. That's the goal about practicing. It's not so much to get it right, but just to make sure you can't possibly get it wrong. So with that in mind, I'm not going to spend too much time on that for the sake of this video. Let's bump it up to 90. Da, 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 da. Alright, so that's already better. I tend to have trouble hitting myself, so I need to move away from me a little bit more so I can reach. I think what I'm going to do later is practice with some long tones, just watching myself in the mirror and working on nothing but bow motion, long, slow scales. Always, when in doubt, go back to the fundamentals. I've known experts who still go back to Twinkle Twinkle Little Star every time they want to refine a technique, so there is no shame in that. Let's bump it up to 100. This is the tempo I tried to do earlier. I failed, so let's see if that helped. Let's do that again. So I missed that one shift again. I got sidetracked. My mind was elsewhere. I need to focus just on the music. Okay, that was better. I'm going to do it again, see if I can clean it up even more and be less intuitive. Maybe try with my eyes closed. Okay, let's do that again. I anticipated something a little too soon. Alright, so memorizing this is going to be a good thing. I need to get away from the page and again not think about it so much. So I'm going to cut this video short. I'm not going to go through the entire practice. Some of the strategies I'm going to look and consider doing are working backwards, starting with the last two measures of the phrase. I'm going to just reverse it. Last two measures of the phrase, then adding another measure, and so on, so that we get that motion going on. And then once I work on that section for a little bit, whatever speed I end up being able to do it successfully, I'm going to try to run through the entire song at that speed. When you practice, pick the hardest part of the song. When you're trying to play a song straight through, pick the hardest part of the song, and whatever speed you can do that hardest part, make yourself do the entire song at that speed. It'll give you consistency, and it gives you motivation to improve that section so you can improve the entire piece. I hope this was helpful to you. Again, whatever level you're at, whatever your song you're doing, I hope these are tips and tricks that you can use in your own practice sessions to become your own personal music masters. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.